Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another episode of In Case You Missed It. Hope you're doing well and keeping safe on this Sunday. As you can see, we're going to be going into Philippe Coutinho and talking about his potential move to Chelsea, and then a little later on I'm going to be talking about Emerson's future as well. But before we get into all of that, just want to ask you guys, if you haven't already and are watching this, hit that subscribe button and a notification bell so you never miss an upload. This time last week on In Case You Missed It, I was talking about us hitting 5k subs, that big landmark, but since then, a whole week later, we're now past 5.5 and are fully on the road to 6k. So I want to thank you for all the new subs and continue supporting the channel. So yeah, hopefully maybe if we continue that record, we can hit 6k by this time next week, which would be absolutely incredible for the channel. So thank you for the support, and also hit that like button if you're enjoying the content. So let's get into Philippe Coutinho, and my question of the day for you guys is, do we need him? Do Chelsea need Philippe Coutinho this summer? Is he a priority this summer for Chelsea? We've heard reports that Barcelona have dropped their original asking price of Coutinho to about 60 million euros. That's about 53 million pounds. Chelsea apparently leading the race and are in negotiations with Coutinho's agent. I'm going to give my thoughts on this, and before you rush to conclusions and go down in the comments to give your thoughts, listen to my argument, because I think there are compelling reasons as to why, in my personal view, this is not an essential signing for Chelsea to make. Now, before I go into all this, Philippe Coutinho is a quality player. We saw what he did in the Premier League for Liverpool. Even Barcelona, he struggled there. He is still capable of wonderful things on a football pitch. The creation, the goals. He's not also just limited to playing in central midfield. We know he can potentially play wide as well. Ingenuity and class he has within his game and flair could really add something to Chelsea's attack. You think of Ziyech coming in, Christian Pulisic, 4-2-3-1 formation with Coutinho sitting at number 10 behind Tammy Abraham. Could be wonderful. But for a number of reasons, I don't feel Chelsea should be going out there and strengthening or investing major money into central midfield. Midfield, I've said it a lot, is stacked. It's the most stacked area of Chelsea's pitch. And this summer, if we're focusing just on the essential players we need to strengthen in and the areas we need to strengthen in, central midfield is not that area. And the question I want to ask you, let's be realistic, 4 new signings this summer. I think that's realistic for most clubs. If we're talking about 4 players that are going to strengthen, or at least 3 of those are going to strengthen the first team instantly. Goalkeeper, left back, right wing and striker. What one of those are you sacrificing? Because I think all of those are much more important than central midfield. I think all of those go above that. So you maybe have to sacrifice. Of course, we could potentially sign players in those areas still with Coutinho, but maybe a lesser quality, because the wages of Coutinho are not going to be cheap. Even if that asking price is a little bit lower, the wages of Coutinho are not going to be any less. And I still feel, of course, we're going to have to, obviously, I think, have to let a midfielder go, I think, to bring in Philippe Coutinho, because it's just so packed in that area. And priority in signings. And also, another thing, prioritising youth development, which is fundamental to Chelsea's central midfield success this season. Mason Mount, Billy Gilmore, Ruben Loftus-CHEEK when he returns. This is a big question for fans, and I'm sure for Lampard and Chelsea, a bit of a litmus test, because we've had really good success in developing and promoting youth players this season. But will that continue, or will we sort of revert to type, go for a luxury player here, and that could limit the development and time on the pitch for Mason Mount, Billy Gilmore and Ruben Loftus-CHEEK? Of course, mostly for Mason Mount and Ruben Loftus-CHEEK, because of course Billy Gilmore would play deeper in central midfield. But you get my point. There's a lot of competition there. And that is a concern, and it has to be a concern. It has to be a question for people. You can't have both things at the same time. And I feel Lampard definitely wants to go in a route of embedding these young players, and I think that's probably what he'll still prioritise. But of course, bringing in a player like Coutinho would heighten, of course, competition, but it could limit playing time for key players like Mason Mount, who've done so well this season. And I do feel it's a bit of a luxury signing. I don't think it's an essential one. And if wages are going to be high, I'd rather those high wages go towards left back. I'd rather them go towards maybe a new right winger, and definitely towards a new striker to give competition to Tammy Abraham. So those are my opinions on that. I've heard a lot of arguments about this, that people saying that the fear of bringing Coutinho, as I've already stated, could block the likes of Mason Mount or Loftus-CHEEK, and that somehow that's a rubbish argument, because we need competition. And I've argued this before. If you watch my video about Martinez potentially coming in and giving competition to Tammy, I don't feel that's a problem. My argument in this case, why I don't feel that Coutinho is essential, is because there is competition in midfield. Ruben versus Mason when he comes back into fitness. Kovacic versus Kante. You've got Jorginho as well within there, facing off against Billy Gilmore. So many players within that area. We don't know what's going to happen with Ross Barkley. So many players in that area are competing for minutes. And if we're going to only play 3 in midfield, there is more than enough competition to go around there, and young players are going to be competing like they have been this season, and as I think they will be next season, unless there's a lot of players leaving in that area, big players that we don't expect to leave, then Coutinho could come in. But there's diversity and there's versatility within that area in terms of skill set that I've already demonstrated in previous videos that I think is essential, and I think is good enough currently for Chelsea. Isn't essential this summer for me. And that's sort of my opinion on Philippe Coutinho. I think he can be an absolutely class player. And listen, if he was to sign tomorrow, I'd be happy. I'd give him my full support, as I do for any Chelsea player who comes in, any new signing who comes in. And it would be very exciting, of course, because we know what he's capable of, especially in his time in a Liverpool shirt in the Premier League. But I don't feel this should be at the top of the list for Chelsea. I just don't. I don't feel that this is an essential signing. Even centre-back for me goes higher on the list than central midfield, because it sort of has to. And I think that's just reasonable. But I have seen many people arguing about why Philippe Coutinho should sign. But I just personally think for the balance of the squad, for what we need, for what Chelsea should be prioritising in terms of recruitment, I don't think Coutinho goes to the top of the list. But please let me know your opinions in the comments below, because I'm sure it will be a pretty feisty debate. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts as well. And just before we go, I just want to touch on this report yesterday from Nazar Kinsella in goal about Emerson. Apparently Napoli, Juventus and Inter are eyeing a move for Chelsea fullback Emerson. The 25-year-old is in demand with options in Italy should he get pushed out of Stamford Bridge in the near future. However, Emerson is still hoping his long-term future remains at Chelsea. It's really, I think, tough for Emerson because he started the season so well. And even in the back end of the season against Sarri, I thought he was really playing well. And I think he was really earning his minutes there. And you very much felt like, at least for this season, Emerson was going to be Chelsea's left back. He started the season so well. In terms of stats, in terms of performance, he was one of the best performing Chelsea players in those first few weeks of the season. And in an injury, I think it was on international break for Italy, really has halted its season, and he just hasn't hit form again. I think it's between him and Alonso, and especially with Chelsea looking to recruit in that area, I think one of those are going to leave. And I personally think it's more likely to be Emerson, because I think with what Marcos Alonso can offer you, that experience and that threat in front of goal, he's much better in terms of Emerson. And I think that talent of big goals in Marcos Alonso's game, I think heightens him ahead of Emerson. And when you think of recent times and recent performances, Frank Lampard has favoured Marcos Alonso, and he's been playing really well in recent for Frank Lampard. So I think he's going to get more opportunities and minutes on the pitch. And very much a return to Italy looks very viable. So that is it for this edition of In Case You Missed It. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. For tomorrow's video, added time, you can submit your questions for the video, CFC related questions that I will answer tomorrow in the comments below or on the community page. I'll probably put a question request post later today on there as well. So either way, it really helps out. Submit your questions. But thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and a notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.